Assalamu alaikum and hello to my non-Muslim viewers. I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible. So if I'm talking fast, forgive me. I'm just trying to make this video as quick as possible. So basically, Vocab, Malone, Anthony Rogers, and David Wood have responded to my video where I criticize Muhammad's Boom Boom Room. And then they say that, well, there are certain things that validate the Quran or early Muslim scholars like Ibn Abbas, al-Tabari, et cetera, that talk about the whale carrying the seven earths, that there's a whale, and then above the whale there's seven flat earths, and then the reason why we have earthquakes is because the whale gets agitated or whatever, and these are according to Islamic sources like the history of al-Tabari, Tafsir ibn Abbas, and things like that. So they ridicule the Quran, or they make fun of the Quran, saying the Quran or the Prophet Muhammad had, or Ibn Abbas had, these ridiculous beliefs, or these mythological beliefs of the creation of the earth and why the earth gets earthquakes. And so basically this mythologies in the Quran, this ridiculous mythologies in the Quran. So I did a little bit more research in this issue, and now I'm convinced that the whale and the seven flat earths and all that stuff is completely fabricated. They're not true stories according to Islamic methodology. So, Anthony Rogers and David Wood won't admit this because they're self-deluded liars. So, and especially Anthony Rogers is, he's a bigger liar than David Wood. He just makes up these bizarre stories about me and stuff like that, which I'll be getting into later. So, but anyways, so I looked at the sources. So, what are the sources of the whale and the seven flat earths, and the whale getting agitated? That's what causes earthquakes, and the seven flat earths, and things like that. The sources for that are Tafsir Ibn Kathir, and this is Ibn Kathir quoting on Quran 68 verse 1, where he talks about the whale and the seven flat earths and stuff like that. Then the second source is the Tafsir of al-Tabari on the Quran chapter 68 verse 1. Then the next source is al-Tabari volume 1 pages 218 to 220, in al-Tabari volume 1, or the history of al-Tabari volume 1 207 and 208, and the history of al-Tabari volume 1 218 220, like I said. Then it's Tafsir al-Qurtubi commenting on the Quran 68 verse 1. Then the next and then the final, the last verse, or the last source that talks about the whale and the seven flat earths, and the earthquakes happening because the fish gets agitated, or the whale gets agitated, is Tafsir Ibn Abbas commenting on the Quran chapter 68 verse 1. So after I did a lot of research on this, I found out that none of these sources are authoritative. All these sources are weak and fabricated. In other words, they're not authoritative according to Islam, or according to Islamic scholarship. They're not authoritative. They're weak, or they're inauthentic. And we know where. So where do these stories come from? You might ask, well, where do these stories come from? They came from Jews, or they came from the Israelite. Israelite means stories passed on by Jews. So these stories passed on by Jews are not authentic, according to Ibn Kathir in Ibn Kathir's book al-Bida al-Nihaayaa Volume 1 page 15. And all these narrations are either weak or fabricated, so they're not binding on us Muslims. And to refer to these sources being weak and fabricated, see Sheikh al-Baini, Siyatil al-Hadith al-Daif, Hadith number 1253 and 6309, al-Dahabi, al-Sira al-Nayam, in Nuawa, volume 4, page 61, and volume 10, page 669, Ibn Rajal, Raskil, Ibn Rajab, volume 3, page 138, Ibn Adi, Tazhib al-Tazhib, volume 9, page 506, Ibn Hajar, Lisan al-Mizan, volume 7, hadith number 572, and Ibn al-Kaisarani, Kirto Huffaz, Volume 2, Hadith 1024. But then you might be saying, well, what about the Tafsirs? What about Tafsir Ibn Abbas, Tafsir Ibn Tafsir, or I'm sorry, it's Tafsir Ibn Abbas, Tafsir al-Tabari, Tafsir al-Qurtubi, and Ibn Kathir all mentioned the whale and, you know, the 7 flat earths and the earth being flat and stuff like that. Well, first of all, Tafsir Ibn Abbas is not reliable. There are broken chains in Tafsir Tafsir Ibn Abbas is not reliable. There are broken chains, or there are broken chains of transmission in Tafsir Ibn Abbas, and some of those chains don't go back to Ibn Abbas. So there are fabricated narrations in Tafsir Ibn Abbas. So Tafsir Ibn Abbas is not 100% reliable. Tafsirs themselves are not 100% reliable anyways, according to Muslim scholars. See Faiz al-Qadeer, Volume 1, page 27, and Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti in his book al-Itqan, Volume 2, page 471. So Tafsirs like Tafsir al-Tabari, Tafsir al-Qurtubi, Tafsir ibn Kathir, Tafsir ibn Abbas, they have a lot of weak and fabricated narrations in them. Now I'm not saying that the Tafsirs are 100% unreliable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are certain stories, or there are certain sayings in those Tafsirs or in those commentaries that are not authentic. In this whale story with the 7 flat earth, or the earth being flat and there's 7 flat earths above the whale, the whole whale story and the whole 7 flat earths stories found in the Tafsirs commenting on the Quran, chapter 68, verse 1, is weak and fabricated. They're not authentic. So these narrations are not authentic, according to many Muslim scholars, according to the scholars that I just cited. And again, keep in mind that Tafsirs are not 100% reliable according to Muslim scholars, like Imam Jalaluddin, and Ibn Kamal, classical Muslim scholars like Ahmad ibn Hanbal, etc., have said that Tafsirs are not 100% reliable. In other words, they're fabricated traditions into Tafsirs, and this whale story and the 7 flat earth story is definitely a fabricated source. And again, if you read al-Tabari, Volume 1, page 170 to 171, al-Tabari warns people that his books are filled with inauthentic or weak narrations. In this narration, the whale narration, the 7 flat earths narration, is not authentic. It's a weak narration. It's not authentic according to Muslim scholars. So not only does it not go back to Ibn Abbas, but the Prophet Muhammad never ever said that the earth is flat and there's like a whale and there's 7 flat earths beneath our earth and stuff like that. He never said that. So these stories are not binding on us Islamically. So that's all I want to say about the whale and the 7 flat earths. This is just responding to Vocab, Malone, Anthony Rogers, and David Wood. So definitely these sources are not authentic, and Islam does not teach that there's a whale and there's 7 flat earths and things like that. So that's all I want to say about this. So thanks for watching, salams, and I hope everybody's Ramadan is going good. Stay tuned. A lot more videos are coming up about. There's going to be videos about showing that Jesus is not God, using just the New Testament and things like that. So a lot of good videos are up ahead. So stay tuned. Some good stuff is ahead. Thanks a lot. Inshallah. Thanks a lot.